Diners and jukeboxes, teenage dates of a bygone era. There are memories that, no matter how much dust time may lay upon them, still shine as if they happened only yesterday. For many of us, those memories are the neon lights glowing over a small town street, the glass door swinging open with a cheerful ding, the aroma of hamburgers filling the air, and the music echoing from a jukebox in the corner. Close your eyes, and it all returns so vividly. Suddenly, we are 17 again, sitting in a familiar diner, surrounded by friends, and the first tender stirrings of young love. Back then, a Saturday night was never complete without the diner. After a week of school and work, we'd pile into our cars, cruising down familiar roads until we stopped beneath the glowing open 24 hours sign. It might be a shiny Chevy Impala, a blazing red Ford Mustang, or even a Thunderbird, each one carrying the proud spirit of the era. Step out, push through that glass door, and we were in a different world. Inside, the fluorescent lights shimmered against stainless steel tabletops. Red leather booths stretched along the walls, filled with groups of friends chattering away. At the counter, a few boys leaned on their elbows, swirling straws and thick milkshakes, sneaking glances at the girls across the room, their hair swept up in beehives or flowing in soft waves. The air pulsed with energy, a heartbeat shared by an entire generation. And there, in the corner, stood the jukebox, glowing like the very heart of the room. It wasn't just a music machine. It was a companion, a spark that lit up every evening. We dropped in a shiny coin, pressed a button, and waited as the record slid into place. Then came the first notes, Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley, or Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry, and the diner came alive. Someone laughed, someone tapped a hand on the table, and soon a couple or two couldn't resist turning the little open space by the counter into a makeshift dance floor. Skirts twirled, leather shoes clicked against the tiles, laughter rang out, and the music carried us all away. Youth, in those days, was simple yet powerful. A date could be nothing more than a cheeseburger, a basket of crispy fries, and an ice-cold Coca-Cola in a glass bottle. But it was that very simplicity that made the memories last. We sat side by side, sharing a Coke, pretending it was just easier to use the same straw, though really, it was only an excuse for lips to meet, hearts racing in that trembling moment. Sometimes, no words were needed. A glance, a smile, a jukebox song in the background, that was all it took for young hearts to beat faster. Those nights were filled with laughter. Friends gathered, swapping stories about teachers, schoolyard pranks, and wild dreams of the future. One wanted to be a singer, another thought of joining the army, another just wanted to own the finest car and drive it across the country. Under the diner lights, anything seemed possible. We laughed, we sang along with the jukebox, and we believed the world was wide and waiting. Music was the glue that held it all together. The jukebox didn't just provide background tunes, it was the soul of a generation. When Be My Baby by the Ronettes played, young hearts melted. When the Beach Boys sang Good Vibrations, it felt as though we were surfing the waves of California, even if we were just sitting in a small-town diner in the Midwest. Music turned every moment into a dream, a memory that refused to fade. And then, as night grew late, the diner began to empty. Outside, the street bathed in pale moonlight. We rose from our booths, pushed the door open, and heard that familiar ding one more time. The car waited beneath the street lamp. Night air swept in through open windows, carrying with it the scent of burgers, bread, and a hint of youth still clinging to our hair and clothes. In our ears, the jukebox song we had just heard kept playing, as if unwilling to leave. We didn't know then that these were the best days of our lives. We were only living, loving, laughing, and dreaming. But now, looking back, we understand, every Saturday night in the diner wasn't just a date, it was a piece of youth itself, burning bright. If the diner was the heart of those nights, the jukebox was the beat. But our youth stretched beyond those neon walls. It rolled down highways, filled drive-in theaters, echoed in parking lots where we lingered, and sometimes ended in tearful goodbyes. After the diner, we often drove straight to the drive-in movie theater. A massive screen under the open sky, rows of cars lined up, headlights off, only the flickering film lighting up windshields. We shared popcorn, whispered, laughed, and sometimes, nervously, reached for each other's hands. The movie itself was often forgotten. What stayed was the rush of a racing heartbeat when fingers touched in the dark. Other nights, we didn't need a theater. A wide parking lot behind the diner was enough. Someone popped the hood of a car, turned the radio all the way up, and let the music pour into the night. We formed a circle, laughing, dancing, carefree about who might be watching. Youth felt endless then. A single Coca-Cola, passed around, was enough to make us feel like family. Of course, not every memory was laughter. Sometimes, the diner witnessed the first goodbyes. A couple sitting quietly in the corner, no longer smiling. The jukebox still played, but the song sounded slower, sadder. She lowered her head, he sighed. They were about to part ways, college far from home, military service, or simply dreams that didn't align. The diner, once the beginning of their story, became the ending too. Yet even those tears, looking back now, seem sweet, because they were proof of hearts that dared to love fully. And then there were nights we dreamed out loud. Amid the chatter, someone would fall silent, gazing through the foggy diner window, wondering what tomorrow might bring. One dreamed of being on stage like Elvis. Another wanted to drive a truck across every state. Another longed for California beaches, chasing waves like in a Beach Boys song. Youth made every dream feel possible, if only for a single summer night. Music kept us bound together. Gentle ballads stirred our hearts, rock and roll made the room explode with energy. Songs came not only from the jukebox, but from car radios or a battered guitar someone had brought along. On warm summer nights, we'd sit on a curb, listening to a friend strum clumsy chords, singing the latest hit. The notes may have wavered, but the memory was perfect, etched forever in teenage hearts. Then time moved on. Fewer nights at the diner. Friends left, for college, for the army, for jobs. The jukebox still glowed, the booths still shone, but the old gang was no longer there. One day, we realized youth had turned a corner. Half a century passed. Many diners closed, replaced by modern chains. Many jukeboxes now sit in museums or private collections. And yet, in our memories, they remain alive. The sizzling burger, the crunch of fries, the fizz of Coca-Cola in a glass bottle, neon light falling across familiar faces, all as vivid as if it were only yesterday. And strangely, it takes so little to bring it all back. An Elvis tune on the radio, a faded poster in an antique shop, the sudden flash of neon on a city street. And once again, we are 17. Hearts pounding, smiles fresh, eyes filled with faith in the future. Those memories never fade. They are not just nights and diners, they are the story of an entire generation. A generation that lived fully, loved deeply, and believed in music. And today, as we share this story, perhaps you, too, are smiling. Because sometimes, just a song, a taste, a light, can carry us back into a whole lost world of our youth. So, if your heart stirs as you listen, stay with us. Subscribe to our channel, and let's return together to the songs, the places, the laughter of youth. For sometimes, all it takes is a single moment, and we are young again.